Oops, I did it again. Hello readers, welcome back to the Book Nook. I definitely did not stick to my no by January plans. I'm filming this and it is the third week in March, so there is still one more week to go in March, and I don't know what's going to happen between now and then. I don't think I'm going to be buying or acquiring any other books, but I always say that and then something always happens. Books just fly into my hands. I can't stop it. There is no guilt here in the fact that I did not stick with my no by January. Just, it is what it is. I love books. I love having them in my life. I blame the Edgar Awards for the books that I bought in January. They released their short list of nominees, the potential award winners for the Edgar Awards in January, and I got excited thinking about how I could make a series for YouTube for the Book Nook where I read through all the Edgar Award nominees. Not all of them, just the fiction categories. That series started, the first video posted last week where I talked about the best paperback original category. I have another video coming for you next week in the Edgar Awards series, so look forward to that. The point is that in January when the nominee list came out, I ended up buying books that I hadn't really been planning on buying at the beginning of the year when I talked about my no-buy goals. That's a good place to start with me telling you about the books that I bought that are on the Edgar Awards shortlist this year. I'm going to go through these rapid fire because I will be talking about them in later videos in more depth. Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby, No One Will Miss Her by Kat Rosenfeld, What Comes After by Joanne Tompkins, Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Kurian, and finally, The Venice Sketchbook by Rhys Bowen. I'll be sharing more about those books with you in later videos. Moving on to the other books, I want to talk about the ones that I purchased first, and then I'm going to talk about the free ones that I acquired next. I picked up The Janes by Louise Luna. This is book 2 in the Alice Vega Private Investigator series. I have book 1, Two Girls Down, already, and this is a series that I have been interested in checking out for a while. The Janes came up for sale, so I snatched it up because if I read book 1, you know I'm going to want to read book 2. This is a thriller series featuring a tenacious private investigator who teams up with a disgraced former cop to find missing persons, solve murders, and just in general investigate things in their community. The next one I picked up is The Lake Templeton Murders by H.S. Burney. This one is an indie published book, and I am trying to find and read more indie published mysteries and thrillers. This is set in a small coastal town on Vancouver Island, and I love me a good Pacific Northwest setting. This is a murder mystery also involving a private investigator who is investigating the death of a beloved government employee. You Had Me at Ola by Alexis Daria. I am in love with this colorful color. It's so bright and vivacious. This is a romance novel about a soap opera actress who has a messy public breakup and her career and life is kind of falling apart. She moves to New York City, back to her hometown, to take a new role on a romantic comedy. She is teamed up with a cast member who his career is also kind of spiraling down the drain. Together they decide to try and spark some chemistry on this show, but things are kind of fizzling from the beginning, so they have some practice kissing sessions, and I'm assuming sparks fly at some point. Back to the mystery books, I picked up Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder by Joanne Fluke. This is the first book in the Hannah Swinson Cozy Mystery series. This is a pretty popular and long-running series. If you are into cozy mysteries, you have probably already heard of or maybe even read Joanna Fluke. Over the summer, I found Cherry Cheesecake Murder by Joanna Fluke in a little free library. I snagged it, but I wanted to start at the beginning of this series. I feel like lately I've been jumping into cozy mystery series halfway through, and while most cozy mysteries are written so you can jump in without having to start at the beginning, I wanted to with this one. Amateur sleuth, stirring up trouble, trying to solve murders, and bake cookies. Now a little on the darker side is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is about 6 friends who go to a college reunion. They return to an elite Southern university to celebrate their 10-year reunion. There was an unsolved murder when these girls were at this college, and of course secrets are coming back during this reunion. Things that were unresolved are about to get resolved, and these friends are going to have to face their secrets and their sins. The final ebook that I purchased this quarter was Nowhere to Run by Nell Pattison. This looks like a nature thriller where 7 friends go on a hike in a quiet nature reserve. They're hoping to just kind of get close to nature and connect with each other a little bit more. Suddenly, gunshot rings out, one of the friends is dead, and then the question becomes, is the killer one of the 7 in the group? Or is there someone else hunting them out in this woods? Diving back into some physical books that I bought in the first quarter of 2022. American Are You Scared Yet by Elle Mitchell. Now, I am friends with Elle. We write together, we talk business together, we talk books together. This is a chunkster. This is the biggest book she has ever written, I believe. You could lift weights with it. When she told me she was working on this book idea, I thought it was just so clever and unique, and I think it's going to be a really special book. I haven't read it yet. It's a dark horror, psychological horror, so I kind of want to be prepared before I dive in. I'm prepared, just like in the right mood. Basically, a new survival reality TV show has been developed in America, and this book is about that reality TV show. And so you have the contestants who are participating, and it's kind of like a survival of the fittest, like Squid Games, Hunger Game vibes, where the last one to be alive wins. But then you're also following the viewership, so people like you and me who might be watching this on TV. And one interesting thing that Elle has done with this book is she has kind of made like a multimedia style, format style for the book. So you'll get chapters, but you also get these cool like tweet pages. It's not Twitter, it's her own made up social media thing. But you get to see the reaction, like the public reaction to the game show itself. So it sounds like a pretty interesting psychological horror. If this is your thing, check it out. Tell me how scary it is. I snagged Devil in a Blue Dress by Walter Mosley from a Goodwill bookstore. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a Goodwill bookstore. I knew they sold books and I knew they had like an online bookstore, but this was supposedly like a dedicated Goodwill bookstore. But when we went inside, there were shelves of books, but there were other things on sale, and I was a little bit disappointed in the inventory, but I still managed to snag this one, Devil in a Blue Dress. This is the first book in the Easy Rawlins series. Easy Rawlins is a long-running mystery character. I believe this is set in LA in the late 1940s, and Easy Rawlins is a black man, a war veteran. He's hanging out in a bar when a white man approaches him and asks him to help find a woman who has gone missing. So I think it has a little bit of a hard-boiled detective edge feel to it. Homicide and Hollow Hollow by Mia P. Manansala is one of my most anticipated mystery reads for 2022, and I couldn't resist picking this book up. So I was ordering a different book, which I'll talk about in a second, and I was like, oh, you know, I should probably just grab this one because I want to read it so bad. I really loved the first book in this series, Arsenic and Adobo. It was very playful, very fun. I really connected with the characters, and I wanted to spend more time with them. So I grabbed this one. Look at this little dog. Look at it. Oh. Oh. This was the book that I originally set out to purchase when I picked up Homicide and Hollow Hollow. This is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is a space adventure. The main character hops a ship called the Wayfarer. She is running from her past, trying to start a new life, trying to find adventure. She joins this crew of misfits. She isn't sure it's going to work, but they get sucked into this big adventure, and I think it's kind of like a feel-good, found family space romp. Last year, I read the book Wonderland by Zoji Staj, and it was an honorable mention for me for my favorite books that I read in 2021. And I was curious about what other books Zoji had been writing, and so I looked it up and saw that she had come out with a new book last year called Getaway, and this premise, it's like she's writing this book for me. 3 friends go on a backpacking adventure in the Grand Canyon, and they're just kind of hoping to have this good backpacking trip where they can reconnect together and just reconnect with the land and feel rejuvenated. And of course, that's not going to happen. Something is following them. Something horrifying is taking place out in this backcountry with them. The description on the jacket flap is not very descriptive, which I'm glad about because I would rather be surprised when I go into this book. Those were the books that I bought this quarter, but I also did acquire quite a few books for free. At the beginning of the year, I was checking out a new book review site. It's called Book Sirens, and it's a review site that indie authors use a lot, or small presses will use it. So it's a great place to look for lesser known books and authors. So I picked up 3 review copies from this site. One was Three Dog Night by Alice Benia. This is the 3rd book in the Georgia Knight series, and Georgia Knight is a private investigator, and in this book she is investigating the death of a high-profile tech business guy. And I really enjoyed the character, the writing, the mystery was intriguing in this book. So I signed up for the author's newsletter, and in that newsletter she sent me a link for the first book in the series, which is Night Blind, which she was giving away for free. But I am looking forward to spending some more time with Georgia Knight, the private investigator, and kind of seeing her first mystery in this Night Blind book. Another book I picked up from Book Sirens was The Secret They Kept by J.S. Ellis, And this one is about a woman who moves into a new house and the neighbors are a little bit spooky. There's something going on with the neighbors and she's just kind of like starting out her new life on her own. I read about 10 chapters of this book and then set it aside. It just was not the story for me. It just did not work for me. I think it was too slow. I wasn't connecting with the characters. The third book I picked up from Book Sirens was Indelible by Laurie Buchanan, and I have not read this one yet. It is about a cop who was injured on the job and his partner was killed by a sniper. So he leaves the force and he starts working as a handyman at this writing retreat in the Pacific Northwest, and he's hoping it'll be a chance for him to heal and kind of figure out who he is and how everything went wrong. But the sniper follows him out to this writing retreat because the sniper has some issues that he still wants to deal with of his own. So that sounds like it could be a good page-turning, tension-filled book. Two more books that I picked up for free just off of Amazon. This wasn't on Book Sirens. These weren't review copies. These were books that were just for free, either on sale or perma-free. The first one, Get Your Book Selling Wide by Monica Leonelle, is actually still available as a free book on Amazon. I believe you can also find it free on other platforms like Kobo, Google, Apple. This is a book for self-publishers, for indie authors who are wanting to take their books to wider platforms, to use other platforms other than Amazon to sell their books. I'm hoping there'll be some good tips and tricks in here on how to get your book into wider markets. More fiction, Her Deepest Fear by Kelly Ute. This one isn't free anymore. This one is a domestic suspense about a woman whose husband is murdered, and then she starts getting kind of a creepy feeling. She starts feeling like maybe she's being followed or there's people outside her house. Maybe her husband had all these deep, dark secrets that she didn't know about. She's kind of going over his life, their life together with a fine-tooth comb and trying to figure out what happened. I love this cover. I'm obsessed with this cover. I feel like maybe I saved the best part for last. I don't know. I haven't actively been searching for books in my local Little Free libraries, but there are several on our regular dog walking route, and so sometimes I just take a quick sneak peek, and sometimes I just find a gem and I cannot leave it there. I have to bring it home. So this next stack, this next grouping of books that I acquired in the first quarter of this year are from Little Free libraries. The Cassandra by Sharma Shields. This is a Greek myth retelling about a woman who is working in a top secret research facility during World War II when she starts having dreams that feel very prescient and very real to her. She starts dreaming about the future and the things that they're working on, how they are going to affect humanity. And I think she feels forced to act to preserve humanity and to act with compassion and to challenge the powerful men who are just capable of intense destruction. So this could be a pretty topical and interesting book to read sooner rather than later. I could not leave The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodore Gloss in the Little Free Library. This is the first book in a series about a group of women who are all kind of related to these well-known literature and horror men like Frankenstein and Jekyll and Hyde and Dr. Moreau. And these women are their daughters, and they team up to solve a series of strange murders and also to kind of find out where they come from and how their fathers are interconnected. I've heard some good things about this one. Finally, I picked up Vera Kelly Is Not a Mystery by Rosalie Connect, and I thought this was book one in the series. Book one is actually Who is Vera Kelly? But I remembered being interested in Vera Kelly, so when I saw this in the Little Free Library, I snatched it up. And then turns out this is the second book in the series. So I'm gonna have to find the first book, Who is Vera Kelly? I do want to read book one before I get to book two. This series is set in 1962 and revolves around a woman, Vera Kelly, who is living in Greenwich Village. She's working as a radio DJ and trying to kind of settle in and find a place in the underground gay scene there when the CIA comes knocking on her door, taps her, and says, hey, we want you to be a spy in Argentina. So they take her radio skills and send her to Argentina, where she gets caught up in some radical underground youth movements. Female spy, detective novel, LGBTQ plus representation, and these covers. I need to get book one so I can dive into book two. And I think there's a third one out already, so what am I waiting for? I gotta find book one. So those are all the books that I have hauled and acquired for the first quarter of 2022. Have you read any of these books? Which one should I start with? Which ones look good to you? Let me know in the comments. I forgot a book. Yeah, I definitely forgot this book. The Damage by Caitlin Wearer. This is another one that I picked up for the Edgar Award series. So this one I will chat about with you later, but this is one of the 26 books that I acquired in quarter 1, The Damaged. Hopefully I'm not missing any others. I mean, gosh, come on. Get it together. I do have a very good spreadsheet that tells me this one was like tucked away in the corner and I just forgot about it. So I think that's it. If not, I'll do another haul video later this year and make sure the ones that got forgotten today get included in that one. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some reading to do. Thanks for watching. Stay cozy. I'll see you next time.